Hello, welcome to Getchyapulls number 76, the centennial one. Because, you know,
Yeah, sure.
it's when that happens.
One centennial.
Yes. Uncentennial. But yeah, it's year in review. We're talking about stuff, even though we'll probably have a pod next week that won't come out before the year's over. So
Yeah, I mean, well, with there's limited number of releases this week, so we've also debated, like, are we even going to go down to the comic shop or wait until we get a worthy number next week? So maybe 2 weeks before the next issue drops. So we're going to go ahead and do the 2013 year in review this week, looking at the best comics, best movies, best other things involving this genre of funny books that we know and love.
yeah, it's all going to be stuff that's about comics and movies about superheroes, which is still what most comics are about, despite what they try to trick you into thinking, despite what the people that hang out in coffee shops and
exclusively read graphic novels.
Yes.
As Muji's dance music ringtone is going off. He just got up and busted a fucking move.
Party time.
That's really quite a sight to behold. When we introduce Potty Humor TV coming soon, that I might actually have to provide you folks with video evidence of this.
Yeah, it's true. Once we get an effects guy in here, so I can make myself look cool. Yes. That's the only thing holding us back from Potty Humor TV. As I've quoted before, I have a face for radio and a voice for a fucking chalkboard, so...
I believe your quote was a voice of a fart.
That could also be anything...
That was on right here on these airwaves.
Anything that kind of sucks. But, yeah. We got stuff to talk about this week. About comics, man. I don't get any comics for like 2 weeks. What a bummer, end of the year.
Yeah.
I think that DC and Marvel really underestimate just like how hooked geeks are, because man, if I had 5 comics, Christmas Eve, I'm leaving the family get together to get 5.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, 5's a pickup. 5's a haul. 5's fine. Like that's. I
get 1, and then I get like 1 or 2 the next week.
That's about
it's so
my
close,
schedule too. Yeah.
So it's barely anything. But yeah, if I had 5, I would be like, thanks for the gifts. I'll see y'all next year on the 24th. But
yeah, most comic shops will be closed this Wednesday and next, probably.
Probably so, but and good for them. It fucking sucked to be working on those days.
Yeah, really.
At least they're not all about the cash like the big corporation assholes are.
That's true.
But it was cool to be able to go to Target on Thanksgiving Day. It works both ways. But we got some news this week. We got some movie news. A lot of movie news. You know, because seriously, 3 days can't go by without something being announced.
Yeah, pretty much. I really feel like we're coming up on, if you're a wrestling fan, you remember the Monday Night Wars back in the late 90s. You remember when the bubble got so fat and huge and wrestling was like the most in thing ever, and you couldn't walk anywhere without seeing a goddamn NWO t-shirt or what have you.
When they took it from us.
And right. And then you got too much of a good thing, and the bubble popped, and wrestling was the shits after, and it's pretty much been the shits ever since.
1996, the year that my Ultimate Warrior t-shirt went from getting me beat up to making me cool.
Now, some would say that comic books already had this in the 90s, and maybe...
Comic book movies, though.
They did, but the movies are new to the equation, so that changes everything, and, boy, they're signing up every property they can get their damn hands on.
I mean, especially DC, at least Marvel's keeping most of them in-house. I mean, you know, outside of the fact that the Spider-Man universe, they're trying to generate some sort of universe that doesn't actually exist with their characters. But man, DC is just like, what? You have a Booster Gold idea? What? Booster Gold is cleaning up turds? Like, you're going to put it on TNT? Is it? Isn't that where Franklin and Bash is on? Perfect. Like, they don't care. But yeah. But lots of news. Most of it's actually positive news. They announced that XMen Apocalypse, which will be the sequel to Days of Futures Past, is going to be written by the team of Mike Dougherty and Dan Harris, who wrote X2, which at the time it came out might have been the best superhero movie outside of '89 Batman did it ever come out.
Still stands firm,
Still
even
stands great.
amongst the good ones from with all the crazy
It's
effects.
still a top 10 movie.
Like, it was granted it had some digital effects, but, like,
Yeah.
they were very well placed and conservative, and like, it was, like, real, and it captured the heart and soul of the X-Men and their internal conflicts with the Brotherhood and all that shit.
Had a lot of great stuff. And it is cool that Singer is, guiding the whole universe. He's going to direct an X1 too, so, I mean, X3 is really where it fell off the rails, and, he didn't do that one, so, and he produced, even though he didn't direct, he produced First Class, so he's been involved in all the good stuff, so that's awesome. But it's also cool to see those writers coming back. Mike Dougherty, also, you might know him from writing Trick or Treat and directing that movie, which is a badass movie.
Oh, it's a classic.
It got fucked.
New classic.
It's one you can actually hear on another cool podcast that's not our podcast, but a cool one called The Movie Crypt, which is done by the Holliston guys. They have him on there and talk about how that movie was supposed to get a wide release and was going to be this big thing, and then they just fucked up and didn't think it was going to draw and didn't release it wide, and then once it sold off its DVDs, they looked back on it and were like, yeah, it sold the amount of DVDs that made it pretty positive. They would have made a killing at the theater with it. But he's good, and he's going to be writing it, so that's good news. I've got other X-Men news. Unfortunately, Rogue, Anna Paquin, has been cut from the new movie. She apparently was only in there for... Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome as Rogue. Remember when she first popped up in X-Men, and you're like, yeah, that's what Rogue looks like. Awesome. Perfect casting.
Oh, yeah, perfect accent.
And she's a real good actress, so...
Made it real.
Yeah.
I'm always, like, as a Southerner, I kind of am insulted when Rogue is always portrayed as fucking Scarlett goddamn O'Hara.
As if she's from 1550.
Like, oh, my dear, oh, sugar, whatever could the problem be?
Yeah.
Like, really? Really? We don't fucking talk like that, alright?
Yeah, that's
not most of the time.
That's racist towards Southerners. And I'd like that to go on the record, that there is something you can do that's racist towards Southerners, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care, let him say it, but it's kind of annoying, I'll say it.
It's one for us, 1,000 for the rest. Anyways.
I mean, that's our bad stereotype, is that we're stupid and dirty.
Yeah, even though we'll do a separate podcast about how a lot of the most innovative stuff of all time came from people from the South, you pieces of shit. But anyways, she was only in supposedly like a scene that lasted about 5 minutes at the beginning of the movie, which you've seen in all the trailers. It looks like they're going to cut possibly out the scene of them all getting fucked up at the beginning, because that's the one it looks like she's in. But they got cut. She's not mad. She understands. Nobody's mad. Of course, a lot of gossip sites are trying to blow it up as giant change to X-Men. That's it. Like, giant change to X-Men. A 2 hour and 10-minute movie is now 2 hour and 5 minutes.
But so she's even still doing some press for the movie, so clearly there's not.
Because it's very possible she'll be in Apocalypse, depending on when this apocalypse happens. So.
Oh, yeah.
And also the fact that she's still pretty young, so she could very quantifiably play young Rogue again, because she doesn't, sure. She could play like a 20-something-year-old character now, and you could buy it, so who knows. Paul Rudd's cast as Ant-Man, which pretty much is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's another piece of awesome news. I'm a fan of him. He's come a long way since his debut in Halloween 6 when he sucked balls.
Yeah, well, I mean, depending on how you look at it, he immediately became awesome and Clueless. But but yeah, I mean, actually, Clueless is awesome.
He was just kind of there.
He
wasn't really awesome in that movie.
He was still Paul Rudd in it, but yeah, he's great now, a great comedic actor, and it pretty much solidifies like what everybody kind of like thought and heard the whole time, that Edgar Wright was going to take this movie in a completely different direction, which you've seen any of his other movies, that makes total sense. I think the big upset is everyone just assumed he was going to cast
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg, yeah, they're like, oh, Simon Pegg's going to be Ant-Man. But they went with Paul Rudd, who fits perfectly for that type of role, so, and that's cool. We're going to get a movie that's totally different.
Yeah.
That rules.
But just like casting on looks, it would seem that it's going to be the Scott Lang Ant-Man if you're just based on looks. But that don't mean nothing, because they always change the way they look.
Yeah, who knows? The Marvel movie universe is a thing on its own, so I guess we'll find out. But then, let's see, last bit of comic book news. So going from the movies to the actual books. Matt Fraction, off in Humans. Which is a pretty big deal. A book they've been promoting for going on a year now. And one that he released a statement he'd been working on him getting paid for like 8 months. He's off. James Robinson's on. He's quickly getting giant jobs coming over from DC. Or sorry, James Robinson's on. I wrote down the wrong motherfucker because I'm an idiot. Charles Soule's on.
Yeah, Charlie Soule.
The writer of all books.
Just fucking everywhere.
The writer of every book. He now, I think, officially has 9 books he's writing per month. He's a better man than us.
Yeah, I guess so.
Much better man.
Fucking by leaps and bounds.
He also has he's a practicing lawyer and runs a law practice to go along with that. So, yeah, nobody's too busy ever. Apparently, if he can be a lawyer and hold a license to write 9 books, but he's on there because, you know, it's a book that needs written. And, yeah, he's only got, man, I mean, he's on giant DC books and giant Marvel books. I'm surprised somebody hasn't tried to get him, like, full-time exclusive. But at first, everybody, of course, your initial reaction would be like, with Fraction only writing Hawkeye and it only coming out every couple months, that maybe he had a falling out with Marvel. But Axel Alonso released a joint press release with Charles Soule, and Fraction saying that basically they just couldn't get the same story. They weren't mad at each other. I mean, I guess Fraction's realistic. He's like, these characters are owned by Marvel, like it's their big story. He's like, I wasn't writing what they liked, and, you know, it's their big event that's going to shape the universe. So, you know, he's like, we tried for months and months to get on the same page and couldn't, so they got somebody else. I got paid, and I'm still working at Marvel, and nobody's mad. So, you know, if that's true, then there you go. I mean, I have no reason to say it's not. I mean, other than he seems to be stacking up Image books that he's doing. You know, but I mean, we'll see. He said there's other things that he's talked about, so we may have an announcement soon for another Fraction Marvel book, so
yeah,
you never know.
That's interesting.
So that's a big change and also a big delay. Now, this is the one thing I just don't believe them on, because they have a bunch of, you know, Inhumanity tie-ins coming out. They're still scheduled to come out, and they're like, well, it doesn't matter. You can read, like, the Inhumans, like, later, and these things will still make sense. Like, it's not going to throw off the continuity. And to that I call bullshit. Imagine if Forever Evil started in March.
Yeah, it'd be different.
Imagine if any Marvel event that they've had since you could remember came out months after all the tie-ins came in. I'm not saying it's like going to ruin them all, but I doubt it's going to be seamless, since you're going to be getting these books like 4 months after they're supposed to, and the tie-ins are already going to be out. But
it really is. I think it's probably safe to say that Charlie Soule is the new It Boy right now in writers.
He is, and like I say, he's the weird It Boy that is writing giant books at both companies, which hardly anybody does anymore because they try to sign those motherfuckers up. Even though I've read a lot of people aren't exclusive, you think, or like Kyle Higgins is not. So he's apparently free to write for whoever he wants, and read that. I think he's got an Image book. He keeps saying he's got something coming out soon that he can't talk about. And I actually read an interview today, which you also read, from the Image, from Eric Stevenson.
Yeah, the Image publisher.
Yeah, the Image publisher. What you can see about him, he gives you like the best. The Image Revolution documentary that came out, he gives you like the best information of anybody on there. A lot of it's McFarlane and Rob Liefeld just pumping themselves up as awesome. And then you get like what was obviously like a 5-minute interview with Jim Lee and a 5-minute interview with Robert Kirkman that they span out over a bunch of sound bites to throw into the thing. But he actually gives a bunch of great info. I think he was actually, I guess Liefeld's Extreme was the most successful of the Image studios back in the early days. And he was like his #1 guy. So I guess when Liefeld got fired, they made him, you know, he's been rising up the ranks, so he's been with Image since the beginning. But he said in that thing that they're having the Image Expo early this year. They're having it in January, which they've been having it mid-year the last couple of years. But they said they needed to go ahead and have it because he has more books to announce than the last 2 years combined. And nobody really knows any of them. There's only a few you've heard rumors about coming out, you know, such as like Jason Aaron's Southern Bastards. That's the one that they're going to re-announce that isn't out yet, but the majority of this is going to be brand new books, and he's like, a lot of them are going to be from guys you wouldn't expect, and it's going to be creators that you know, and they're going to be crazy books. So there's a long way of saying I'm betting money Kyle Higgins has an Image book that gets announced in January at that expo.
Yeah, I mean, they're being pretty aggressive, too. He's quoted as saying, you know, we want to be #1, and we think it's a possibility. And, like, I don't see how in the fucking world that's a realistic possibility. But
it would take a really long time. It would take a very, very long time for anything like that to happen, but
apparently their readership is growing like fucking never before.
The last last
I guess is why they're able to announce all these new books and shit.
In the last 2 years, it's gone up a lot, but also like a lot. I mean, comic readership's gone up, which is why it'll be easy to see. Like, once the industry gets to where it's going to go and starts going back down, if Image will also go back down. But I mean, I think they went from owning. I think I read like somewhere in the like 6.5% of overall market share up to 7 point something. So they went up, but also I saw DC's and Marvel's both grew too. I think like the lower divisions of the people, the four, Dark Horse, all those, I think all theirs fell a little bit. But yeah, it's awesome. I mean, if you're one of those guys though, there's really not a reason why you wouldn't do like an Image book. 'Cause you own 100% of the profits. Like I was just doing simple math the other day on some of these big guys, and I was like, I mean, you don't know exactly what they're making for writing for Marvel or DC. We take like Fraction, like Sex Criminals comes out and sells 40,000 copies for $3.50 a piece. If he's getting $1 off each one of those, then if he just wrote one issue that a month, he would make like $500,000 writing comics. So it financially seems like it makes sense that you should churn out at least one of those books. But oh yeah, last thing I almost jumped over. Joaquin Phoenix might just be Lex Luthor, saying he's been targeted for a villain role in that movie, and makes sense. That's really the villain that we know is going to be in it. So I think that's an easy puzzle to solve.
That would be cool. Joaquin Phoenix has been eyed, and
he's great.
Khal Drogo has been eyed for another role.
Yeah.
That they're saying either could be Doomsday or Martian Manhunter right now, but that's always subject to change. It's nothing confirmed.
I'm telling you, it's based off a very small bit that we saw in one of the Villains Month titles. I guess in Forever Evil, but my favorite thing they would do is if Joaquin Phoenix is Luthor, and somehow he's made Cyborg Superman like his own
Bizarro,
version. Bizarro, yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah.
If Khal Drogo was Bizarro, that would be the best.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Anywho, that's it for the news this week. Y'all know we're prepared for this, but I'm gonna go back to the long box.
What? Back to the what? Okay.
It's been a while since we've done one.
It's been a while.
But
since Muji talked about some old comics
that aren't very old. But yeah, we've both been reading a bunch of old stuff, so I thought I'd go back. This isn't going back that far. It's just going back like in the last 10 years, but to a little Batwoman action, little Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams Batwoman. Say it's awesome. It's really like the first big Batwoman arc. All of her origin stuff was in the 52 series, and she was apparently like a pretty big part of it. I haven't read it, but I do know that like part of her character is they constantly talk about the relationship she had with Renee Montoya. And by the time this comes out, which is like her first singular arc on anything, like they're long broke up. So apparently there's a lot of her in 52, which I've never thought really to read those, but I might have to now because I do like this character a ton. So it would be cool to see.
Lots of people I've talked to, even though like people shit on 52, and sometimes they kind of make fun of it. Like most fans that I respect their fan opinion really liked it, so I would check it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I like this book a lot. Something that always interests me is who writes the forwards on these things, because sometimes they're comic book writers and sometimes they're other random celebrities. Even though comics is like wrestling, man. It's one of those things that it doesn't matter that Avengers made $1.8 billion. There's always going to be part of like the comic book industry that feels like outsiders, and it makes them do things such as have CM Punk write the fucking forward to an XMen book. Like, if you care enough to pick up a big omnibus of X-Men stories, I doubt you're going to be like, I wasn't going to buy this, but CM Punk says it's cool. Like, you probably already...
So it must be.
Like, you had to seek it out anyway. So, like, this one, like, Rachel Maddow writes the forward.
Okay.
Yeah, she's on MSNBC, has a news show. But, I guess, whatever. That was just one of those that made me crack up. That happens from time to time where I open books up. And sometimes they make sense, but sometimes they make no sense at all. But it's really awesome. Of course, J.H. Williams draws it, so if you like the new 52 Batwoman, I mean, that's what you get. You get crazy panels with crazy colors. It's basically a story about in this one. I guess they've changed her story a little bit. Her dad actually helps in this one, helps her train to be Batwoman. You get like her whole like a flashback to her origin story where she's in the army and she comes out as being gay, so she gets kicked out, and then her dad helps her. You know, she still says she wants to be a soldier. She wants to help people, so her dad helps train her, and she becomes Batwoman. And it's a badass story. It's awesome art. It's got, of course, as these books seem to have, she's going up against a trippy foe. It's a woman called Alice who thinks that basically she keeps quoting Lewis Carroll. She thinks she's Alice from Alice in Wonderland, but she's an evil version. So the cool thing about characters that are fucking free to the public, you could use them.
Yeah. Oh, is it tied into the Mad Hatter at all? I wonder.
No, it's not. It's not tied to the Mad Hatter. It's totally different. But it's a great story, and when it ends, I'm like, what the? Because it ends like on a cool note, but it also ends like where it seems like the story's not done. This was apparently the end of the story for them. So I wonder in what book it keeps going. But highly recommend this if you like the New 52 version. This is just an extra book that's almost like a prequel to what she's doing in the New 52. So definitely add this to your Batwoman shelf if you love
Badass.
it. Cool.
Yeah, I didn't really have any back. I mean, I've been reading your Animal Man omnibus, but you already talked about that on here once.
I sprung it on you.
Yeah, sir. So, I mean, read Grant Morrison's Animal Man omnibus. It's cool.
Yeah, but that's cool. But we'll move on to our pulls. I guess we start out with DC as we do.
Okay.
Any DC books this week?
Yeah, I got 2.
Got 2? Okay, cool. I'll go first. Harley Quinn #1. It's good. It's a continuation of the Zero issue. It's it's different. It's not as silly. In the Zero issue, it was obvious, that it was like a, kind of a setup thing where they were just basically doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do. But in this one, there is actually a story. She does have a plan. It's funny because we talked about it being like kind of their answer to Deadpool, but in the way that it's set up, it's not drawn that way, but in kind of the weirdness in the story. I wouldn't say it's as good because Hawkeye is just fucking so great, but it's almost like it has a lot of similarities to their Hawkeye. She has moved out of town. She's moved to a Coney Island,
Okay.
which is a perfect place for her, and she gets a job working as like a superintendent in an apartment building, where she's got to find a way to like make her own rent and take all the rent. So she's kind of in charge of a whole apartment building, a la the Hawkeye.
Right. Okay.
But it's cool. You get like a whole new cast of characters. She's the only regular one. She has some flashbacks to, they do a little bit of like, this is how it was before. There's a really awesome scene in here where she has to like put tons of makeup on so that she can go on a job interview. She's trying to get a job as a psychiatrist again. And so, of course, the fact that she bleached her whole body doesn't help. So she's got to make herself look like she used to, which is a cool scene that they do in there. And then her other job, she ends up getting another job, which makes perfect sense, where she's on a rollerball team, roller derby team. So that's pretty cool too. They introduce a whole bunch of new characters that live in the apartment building with her and stuff, and just kind of give her like her own little world here. So that was great. It was really funny, really different, really way closer. Also, it's still cool. She still looks like the New 52 version of Harley Quinn, but she definitely has the attitude a lot closer to the old one. A lot of the same sense of humor. So if you've been bummed out by her portrayal in the New 52 and been wanting your old school Harley Quinn back, then you pretty much got her in this.
Outstanding. I really was excited when they said they were kind of... I was excited / hesitant when they said they were going to try to do something similar to Deadpool, but it seems like they did it in all the right ways.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I had... excuse me. 2 DC books. Starting outside the New 52 first. Smallville, Alien #1, season 11 continues. They've stopped numbering them individually and they're just doing them by arcs at a time. So this is the first one of those. Very good issue though. One of the stronger individual Smallville issues actually. Like they've all been good in terms of arc and giving you what you want on seeing the show continued and things like that. But this could really just hold up as a very good issue of a Superman comic across the board. You get a nice little flashback to the beginning with Clark, a little lesson learned with his dad, and then the majority of the story is Clark out doing his thing, being Superman. Unfortunately, the bad thing is that the public has learned that Superman is an alien, and there's a big uproar, but he ain't sweating it, but bad things are coming. Lex Luthor is going to go investigate this meteor that crashed out in a foreign country, and Clark Kent convinces him to let the press go along and ride with him as a journalist covering the event. Of course, what they don't know is it's the fucking anti-monitor that has crashed in the fucking desert of some foreign country. So bad shit is about to happen. But
anytime Superman goes to the desert, he's fucked.
Yeah.
He's just out of deserts.
Definitely. But it was like all the best shit about Smallville, all the best shit about Superman, and really one fine issue. So I highly recommend, if you're not on the Smallville train yet, I'd say it helps to be familiar with the show, but the comics are quite enjoyable all on their own.
Q.
And then Animal Man 26, Jeff Lemire's run, is counting down to its conclusion.
Let's see, 29? Is that the end?
There's 3 more after this. And it's been a
So
hell of a
sad.
run. Been a hell of a run. This is the most strange issue, probably, of all of the Animal Mans yet.
It could get that way. If he's only got 3 to go, it's like there's no losing.
Yeah, downhill spiral quickly. He got just mysteriously transported to this fucking planet. And so he's fighting all these beasts, including this thing that looks like a dark side with horns, and it about fucking kills him. But he ends up winning. And
Spoilers.
he finds out that this dude named the Bridge Walker has brought him there, and that he is responsible for guarding the Seed Planet, and that it's not like just the red and the green, but it's a universal thing, and that controls all of that, and that he's about to die, and he's summoned Buddy Baker to replace him, and he's got to stay there and watch over everything for eternity, and he's like, fuck that.
You're now the gardener.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to be the fucking gardener. And he's like, well, tough shit. You gotta be the gardener. And he's like, well, I want to go think about my kids and wife. And he goes, okay, fine. So he lets him. And he's got to go save him, of course, because Brother Blood is about to kill them all.
Brother Blood getting a lot of play.
And so, oh yeah.
On both TV and comics.
Good timing. Way to go, DC, on tying them in. That's the way you get people to know these villains who they might not, be mainstream names.
Yes.
But yeah, and so he lets him go, and the last scene is he's in the red, getting ready for the big fight. So we're heading to the home stretch, folks.
Cool. Well, I got a couple Image books. I say indie books. Was Image? They're barely indie now.
Yeah, hard to say indie anymore.
I'm not calling ECW indie after they were on TV.
Right.
What are you talking about? But I got 2 real good ones this week. Black Science #2. It's kind of continuing the tale. We're only 2 issues in, so still kind of building up what's going on. You get a little prequel to the events that happened in the first comic here, and what's going on after that. So it's pretty awesome. Apparently, Remender's favorite thing to do is space stuff. So you do see a lot of Remender here. It also got me, just after reading that first, I liked it enough to where I gave my dad a miniature Christmas list of things, like these are possible things you could get me, because he just got completely stumped, which never happens. Mm-hmm. And he gave me Christmas spoilers and grabbed Fear Agent Volume 1 off my list off Amazon, so that'll be cool.
Oh, sweet.
It's the first half of it. There's like 2 omnibuses of Fear Agents, so I got the first one of those coming. Some good Remender space goodness, but I like this issue a lot. Something crazy happened, surprisingly. Apparently, comic book stores didn't anticipate people liking Black Science a lot, so the second issue had a much lower print run than the first one, and everybody sold out of it, and people were paying like $30 on eBay to get this sucker. I shall keep it, but that's really weird for the #2 of a random book.
Yeah,
especially for somebody like Remender, who everybody knows. Like it, Saga, Chapter 17. Shit finally hits the fan after issues and issues of building. Some shit finally happens. Everyone converges. A Prince Robot finally makes it to their hideout, finds them and the author that's hiding them, and then the other bounty hunters show up there too. So they're all there. Some things go down. It's a great issue.
Oh, can't wait.
Yes. And then I guess over to Marvel. Couple books. Daredevil #34. It's good. It's Daredevil. I won't talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but it's definitely, you can see where it's winding down in this volume of Daredevil. And then over to all new X-Men #20, which I will give mini spoiler. Front of the issue shows Young from the 60s Scott Summers making out with X-23,
Hey yo.
which is weird if you think about it. He's making out with a clone of Wolverine, and he hates Wolverine. So in a weird way, it's like they're making out. It's actually like a young version from the past is making out with Wolverine's clone, only in comics. But that doesn't happen. I guess I just wanted to try to sell you the issue, but that doesn't get close to happening. So
Marvel's good about that. DC's as guilty of it.
things happen, yes. Usually in DC, it looks like somebody's going to die, and then that character's just not in the issue. But it's a good one. It's basically them just figuring out in the last issue. Remember, they found X-23 roaming the streets, and she was bald and had people trying to kill her, so they saved her, brought her back to Team Cyclops' team, and she wakes up all mad, but is fully recovered, of course, with her healing factor. And then she befriends young Scott, so something could eventually happen there. But it's another real good issue, all new X-Men. Like I said before, it really does feel good with the original X-Men team hanging out on Scott's team. It does feel like a lot more interesting now that that's happened.
Awesome. Well, I've got Deadpool number 21, starting the new arc after the last Bridge issue where he went on Wakandan vacation. And so now he's charged with the task of finding a body for Agent Preston, and that's where we go.
Wakandan vacation. When you only have $3 to go on vacation,
And
to Wakanda.
Rogue Shield agent puts a hit out on him. It's quite priceless. I'd just say it continues, and it continues its brilliance, and it's got some moments where it's pretty edgy, and it's got some moments where it's just fucking downright hilarious, this issue. So glad to see it back on track. Uncanny Avengers number 15, the follow-up to the issue that pissed off everyone person in the comic industry, and I personally fucking loved.
Why did you kill the girls?
Rapture. I love that 2-page spread, nothing but black. The mutant Rapture is upon us, folks. The Apocalypse Twins say, fuck the humans, we're just gonna take all the mutants and we're gonna transport them to the fucking moon, and the fucking humans can get fucked. That was the original plan. Well, we come to find out that the actual plan is to just kill all the humans, of course, which we probably figured that was the case all along.
That's what apocalypse people do.
That's quite apocalyptic of them.
Yes.
So, get to see some of these fights continued. The Wasp fights the Sentry and holds her own in a pretty awesome little deal where she kicks in some of the old Giant Man powers. Haven't seen those in a while, and fucking grows giant and crushes him. Of course, fucking she even burns his face off with her wasp sting when she's giant, and his brain talks to her and shit. It's pretty crazy because they're like apocalypse monsters, so they can do horrible things like that. Thor makes a big save. But other than that, this issue is pretty much just like heat on the Uncanny Avengers as they're getting their asses whipped. And Captain America goes and tries to make one last save, but not looking good for him. And then we see the Watcher at the end, and that's never a good sign.
Everybody's still dead?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Rogue is dead as fuck. They show fucking gruesome evidence of that.
First Uncanny Avengers, then the new X-Men movie. It's really an attack on Rogue.
Damn it. But, the pick of the week. Thor number 16. The Accursed, part 4. This issue's totally fucking fucked up. Like, some super fucking crazy shit happens, and I know you'll want to read this because you're up on Thor, so I won't spoil any of it, but let's just say the League of Realms, well, so the last time, you do recall that one of their compatriots fell in battle in the last issue, and this is kind of the fallout of that, and there may be a traitor in their midst planted by Malekith, and they kind of turn on each other and shit, so... and then, like I said, just some shit happens in that one. So
Nice.
Pick of the week for sure.
That's cool.
You're in review time.
Oh yeah, we haven't done that.
Yeah, it's the special. Just briefly running down the favorite movies and comics of the year.
It's fewer things. I guess we can do a couple
TV
things
shows
here.
too, I guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Whatever. Just the shit that you liked in 2013.
Let's see. Favorite comics for the year? I guess it's no surprise based on what we review and based on what we get in our polls. So my favorite superhero comic for the year, it's probably like a cheap answer, but it's probably Batman. It's just
No, I
so
don't think
good.
it's a cheap answer. I think it's like it's been the best comic. I think I agree with that.
Between 0 years so far and Death of the Family, I mean, it's just been pretty awesome for the whole year. So I really have loved it.
And Walking Dead is still holding its own.
Yeah, Walking Dead has. I mean, it's had a resurgence this year. I mean, it's been the best year of Walking Dead and quite a few.
It really has.
It never dipped down to like being bad, but it just. I mean, I think Kirkman heard. I mean, I know he plans out his things way in advance, but some people had talked of it getting a little bit boring, and it's been anything but that this year. It's been great. I guess even Hawkeye. I mean, it hasn't come out every month. So I don't know how many issues even came out this year, but the issues that have come out, I mean, it's stayed great. Daredevil might be the most consistent Marvel book on being a good book. May not. I mean, there's probably been some other books that have had like higher highs, but it's like, like once a month you're gonna get a really entertaining issue of Daredevil, so it stayed really good.
Daredevil's been pretty outstanding. I've loved Uncanny Avengers. It's got a rank high. Thor ranks high.
You've liked it in Thor, yeah. The two.
Captain America ranks high as well. Yeah. Especially in the last few months, it's really turned up the heat.
I mean, indie books. I mean, Image has been kicking ass. I mean, new books this year. I mean, you think about just this year alone, Velvet started, which has been great so far. Sex Criminals, Lazarus. Those have all started this year. Revival and Saga stayed great.
Yeah, oh my god.
Yeah, Fatale stayed great, even though it had a little break.
You got Southern Bastards to look forward to next year.
Yeah.
So Image is really on a roll right now.
Yeah, all their books have been great. I mean, I'm getting more Image books than Marvel books as we speak, which we'll see next year. I started looking, and with the day job possibilities coming up a lot better, we'll probably expand the Marvel list a little bit just to take some chances on a couple of things next year. I think I've talked myself into trying out Wolverine once it relaunches.
Yeah.
Especially just considering they're saying that, like, in one of the issues, it's going to be the thing that shapes Marvel for next year. So probably one of us needs to get it if we're going to report on it in the pod.
Sure. Yeah, that would be responsible journalism.
That's going to be one of their big books. So I think I'm going to try it out. I think I'm going to try out the She-Hulk for next year by Charles Soule. And he's a lawyer. He's writing a book about a lawyer, so that makes sense.
I would like to catch that new Punisher coming up next year.
It looks cool. That's one you can think about getting. And then I can't decide because I don't love Dan Slott, but I think I might still try out the Silver Surfer just because Allred drawing the Silver Surfer seems pretty great.
It looks really cool.
And you can always drop a book if it sucks. It's not like one thing, it's not like you fucking have to give it the whole first arc. If you just right off the bat don't like it, you can always drop it. Those are probably my favorite comics, though.
I'm trying to think of just trying to give some best ofs from DC. We didn't really give too many, but Batman. There's been a lot of things come up in the later part of the year.
We're reading behind, but I mean, like Wonder Woman is fantastic. Even though I'm reading the graphic novels of it, the collected, so I'm behind on it. But it's been great.
Nightwing has stayed great.
Nightwing has stayed good. Batwoman. I mean, I haven't quite read up to the end of J.H. Williams' run, and we'll see how it goes after him, but it's a great comic.
Detective has been pretty good under
Detective turned it around.
Too,
yeah, it's a book that I dropped and got back, and it's been very good. I mean, I think it's been part of it's just because Batman and Robin has not been Batman and Robin, even though it's still been pretty good. I think Detective might have jumped up to the second best Bat book when it was not for a while.
Yeah, and I think Flash and Aquaman stayed. They maintained quality all through the year.
I mean, I think they've treated, for the most part, all their Justice League people well, other than their main, like, five.
Green Lantern's been a little over-mired in events, but still done some good stories in there if you can sift through them.
And then Superman, of course, notoriously started out the weakest of the important DC characters, and, I mean, he's become great. The newest issue of Action Comics was awesome.
Greg Pak's killing on the Action Comic, and Charlie Soule is just knocking
Superman
it out
and Wonder Woman is so good. I mean, that's the best, that's probably the best DC book to launch since the initial launch. It's probably the newest one they've launched that has just been, like, really incredibly good. So those have all been great books. I read a bunch of old stuff. I read not a lot of, like, original graphic novels I read this year. Like, probably the most I recently read Battling Boy by Paul Pope, who did Batman Year 100. It's really awesome. It's like new heroes and new stuff, and like could definitely be something that may take off, because the big companies aren't really good at inventing new heroes. If you think about with DC, it's like Harley Quinn, and then with you know, the guys Liefeld made in the early '90s for X-Men. Like those are really the last lasting like superhero characters. But Pope makes a couple in the Battling Boy comic that are pretty awesome. So that's cool. Movies, and movies overall, I guess with comic book movies, Man of Steel is probably my favorites.
Yeah, it was mine.
Like I said, I don't think it was a great year. I didn't hate any of the movies I saw, and I didn't even dislike them. Even Iron Man 3, I don't really care to see again, but I still had a good time watching it in the theater. It just is what it is. Man of Steel I probably think's the best too, because I mean, I liked it. I mean, I'll probably say like I had a better time watching Thor and Kick-Ass, but Man of Steel I was really interested in watching again. I've watched it a couple times on Blu-ray. I mean, it still has probably the most layers to it, even though it's like not a perfect movie, but it still was a good movie. I don't think there were any A+ comic book movies this year, but there were like a lot. There were like B+ comic book movies across the board. They were still good.
Yeah, Man of Steel and Wolverine were my must-sees, and I liked them all, but I thought they were the best, followed by Thor, and actually followed by Kick-Ass 2, because it was really awesome.
I think I had them written down. I've got Wolverine second.
But I put Thor right up there. Thor was a good fucking time, and it was like I would go back and watch Thor again, like you said. Iron Man 3, I'm gonna get it on Blu-ray, and I'll go back and watch it one time, and I'll probably won't watch it again.
Just because I'm a completionist.
When I go back and watch them all through again,
just because
I will. But
I'm a completionist, they'll probably eventually get me, but it's one that I'll pick up when it's like $5 way down the line, just so on my shelf it's not missing Iron Man 3 from the movies in line.
Right.
But yeah, I don't really care to watch it. But I mean, like Man of Steel is the first movie in forever that I paid like $20 for the day it came out, because like I need to see this thing again. So I would say that's my favorite of those type of movies. See, just movies, I can't remember all the way back to the beginning of the year. For like big money movies, I love Star Trek, Into Darkness. I love Pacific Rim. It really got shit upon. I don't know why, but I really liked it. I mean, it's one of those movies, if you knew the premise is robots are going to fight monsters.
I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like, you can kind of get that it's not going to be the most serious thing of all time. And I liked it a lot. Plenty of Sons of Anarchy cameos in that one, or not even cameos, starring roles, but they used a lot of those guys. Yeah, best book probably that I read that was new this year. I read a bunch of books that were new to me, but Joe Hill's, I think it's NOS 42. I think it's what. No, it's not. It's not NOS. Like maybe NSO. It's Joe Hill's new book. It's N something S 42. It's really good. I think it is NOS 42, but it's badass. It's a book about Christmas. It's a book about a serial killer that kidnaps kids and takes them to Christmas land and tortures them.
Holy fuck.
It's really dark, but it's really good. He's really great. I've liked all three of his books so far. I think I talked about Horns on here before, his last book that they were making into a movie. But this one was great too, so I really loved it. And then also, actually, a couple books I read of late. I also liked Ocean at the End of the Lane, Neil Gaiman's book. It's a real small book, but it was still really awesome. It's a very powerful, like 250 pages worth of book.
Outstanding. I've really not caught up on many current books this year. I've been mainly trying to get caught up on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, those take a while. I read all 2.5 of those. Like I read the first 2 and halfway through the third to get caught up with the TV. I read more books this year than I've read in forever.
Yeah, you really did.
I think I've probably read more than 20. I guess there's some people that read like a book a week or a book every couple days, but between the shit tons of comics and graphic novels that I've read combined with the books, a shit ton of reading this year. But yeah. Oh, favorite figs, Batman 66.
Right.
The Batman 66 Joker, best fig of the year.
Right. And first TV shows, like Arrow is good, man. Like, comic book themed stuff.
Comic book related, I'd say, yeah, I mean, Walking Dead's consistently been good.
Yeah, Walking Dead, I mean, if you're going, like, strict comic book stuff, Walking Dead has got to be number one, I guess. I mean, if you're just going within the realm of geekery, I think Game of Thrones, of course, trumps everything, but...
yeah, just going on comic book stuff, I would say Walking Dead's the best. It's really good. It's the closest comic book show. Like, I think it's good. I don't think it's quite like an elite level like show. Like, it's not as good as like Game of Thrones or The Sons, but it's really good. But only so many shows can be like top 5 shows. it's there, but it has lulls where other shows like Game of Thrones and Sons of Anarchy do not have lulls. Like every episode counts. I can't really say that about Walking Dead, but it's really good. And then Arrow is definitely the DC Marvel winner. I think it's
it's really taken off this season.
It's tons better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's gotten better as it's gone.
Like
so
they really have carried this rich mythology in the story, and they've built up their own history, and they've
last episode might have been the best one. So it
Yeah.
went out with the mid-season season 2 finale. Went out on the highest of high notes, so I'm really pumped.
And they've
it to start
introduced
back.
all these DC cameos, and they haven't felt forced or just stupid. You know, like they fit right in with the little universe they've built.
Yeah, like TV shows that aren't comics, like in no particular order. Like the best few of those, I mean, Game of Thrones is probably my favorite show overall.
I mean, I just don't
The
know
best
how
drama.
it can get better than Game of Thrones.
I don't either,
really,
man. I mean, I think it got fucked too. They just released, which I mean, these don't matter at all, but they just released Emmy nominations, or excuse me, Golden Globes, which I guess Emmys usually get it a little more right, anyways. Golden Globe nominations is not on the list of the best dramas. Neither is Boardwalk Empire, which is perennially on the list. They have a couple of interesting choices for best dramas that I just don't agree. Like I tried watching House of Cards. It's okay, but I don't love it. But that's one that they love that they put on there.
I mean, Sons of Anarchy, like you mentioned.
Sons of Anarchy is never going to win one award for
damn
anything,
it.
which is ridiculous. Like I don't even see how.
Like this season of Sons of Anarchy, like what made you physically ill at times.
Yeah.
You know, like it was that powerful. Like they got you so invested in the characters. Like this is some of the best storytelling I've ever seen, along with Game of Thrones. Some of the best storytelling I've ever seen. So like those got to be my 1 and 2 overall.
I mean, I
shows.
think it's one of the best shows. I mean, I can see they only nominate 5 shows. I mean, I guess it's tough because, I mean, especially in past years, like with the fact that Mad Men, Breaking Bad, and Game of Thrones, and Boardwalk, you got to narrow it down to 5, so that's tough. So, I mean, I guess I can see, but the fact nobody gets nominated for performance. I mean, there's been seasons where there's been multiple people in Game of Thrones could have been nominated for an acting award, and they just don't. I don't know why. In fact, Ron Perlman never got nominated, and some of the others, and this season maybe even less than some of the others. But he's had some complex shit going on that he does on the show.
Yeah.
That I don't understand how he's never been. And Charlie Hunnam easily could have been
I
nominated.
mean, like even the
any
supporting
season.
guys, Kim Coates, like in the
Last
season
year,
where he has his great tragedy.
Maggie Siff
like,
on most of the seasons.
Oh,
Maggie
yeah.
Siff is dealing with a shit ton of shit.
I
And
mean, even Katie Seagal.
yeah, there's a lot of people in there, and the fact that nobody's ever been nominated is just pretty ridiculous. But I think it's a show that is going to, when you go back and watch it, is people are going to maybe appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah, it'll
This-
stand the test
with
of time.
so many good shows on right now, like it's you know, it's unrealistic that something's not going to get looked over, and it's one of the couple shows that I think is being looked over as like being really great. But yeah, I mean, I love Game of Thrones. Sons of Anarchy was great this year. Mad Men wasn't as good. This is probably the worst year of it forever. Breaking Bad, of course,
Yeah,
which shows you
of
how you
course.
can, which shit in the face of all shows that end and are like, well, how could you possibly end it like as good as it came?
Dexter.
Well, you can end it as good as it came. I like Dexter. I mean, it was good.
I love Dexter. I just thought the end was
Oh yeah,
shit.
exactly. Yeah, Sopranos. So many
Soprano- yeah, like-
so many
like-
shows have ended shitty, and
Ugh,
Breaking Bad was like
so
actually.
frustrating.
Breaking Bad was like, actually, how about the final season is the best season, and the last episode might be our best episode? How about that?
Well, they talked about
Well,
how
we
the
did it that
studio execs fucked Dexter over, that they did want to kill him, and that the fucking Showtime people were like, no, you got to keep him alive. So they made them write that scene in at the
Oh,
end
that
where he was
sucks.
still alive.
Yeah, it would have been way
Yeah.
better. Spoilers,
So-
but it would have been way better if Dexter would have bit the dust, I thought.
Yeah.
I guess it's because they're fucking couldn't sell Dexter Down Under comics. Jesus Christ, you see that? You know they did that Dexter comic?
Mhm.
Well, I saw in Solicits, there's a new one, Dexter Goes to Australia. It is titled, indeed, Dexter Down Under. So that's probably why I couldn't die, because there was a fucking Australian adventure coming to IDW, or I think it's actually coming to Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel.
It's Marvel.
And it doesn't look like it's based on the TV show, because
No.
they draw the characters all different. It's like based strictly on the books.
Yeah, but still, that's probably why they
Yeah.
couldn't do it. But yeah, those are probably my favorites. There wasn't like a lot of great new shows this year, I don't think, but there were some good. Brooklyn Nine-Nine's probably my favorite new show.
Yeah, nice surprise that show was, actually.
Surprised it's good. Surprised it actually got nom for best comedy.
Oh, really?
We all know because Modern Family has non-same-sex couples in it, it's going to win every year forever, because if you Because if Entourage taught us anything, if you play gay, if you play AIDS, any of those things wins you every year. So Modern Family is always going to win Best Comedy because of its social stuff, not because it's the funniest one. But, yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine got nom. Parks and Recs fucking finally got some just desserts, got nom for the Best Comedy this year, so they actually got a little respect. Andy Samberg got nominated for Best Actor. That's awesome. Never would have thought that would happen.
Yeah, no, that's great. I really did enjoy Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It was a nice...
Brooklyn Nine-Nine's been great.
Surprise.
New Girl's been great. It's one of the... I mean, thinking about just last year, from last year to now, it's among maybe the funniest show.
What a comeback South Park had this year, too, after a
it'd
really
been late.
droll
It's
season.
gone down, yeah.
Like, it had, like, just, you know, one of the worst seasons probably ever last year, and they really came back with, like, 5 or 6 out-of-the-park episodes this year.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, it's a good year. It's a good year for TV, good year for movies. All the best movies we haven't seen yet are coming out this month. And then, great year for comics. So yeah, it was a lotto win away from being a perfect year.
2014 on the horizon. We hope to have Getchyapulls moving forward, and Midnight Black Mass moving forward, and
Have a new website coming.
new websites coming, and even Potty Humor TV is coming in some capacity in 2014 on the YouTube channel. So,
We promise it won't be dicks.
well, YouTube wouldn't allow us. Well, actually, you better not keep that promise if you know some of the creative ideas we've discussed. Dicks in jest, folks. Dicks in jest. But
Yes.
dicks nonetheless. I mean, that would be censored. YouTube standards and practices.
Yes, but yeah. So I guess until possibly next year, depending on how bored we are next week with no comics.
Yeah, we might just record a bitch session pod.
That's true. We could. The day we're recording this is Festivus for the rest of us, so we may wait and air our grievances a week later. There'll be nothing but that. We'll get it out. Maybe that's what we'll do. That'll be our New Year's resolution is we're going to do all the bitching we possibly can in one pod so that next year we're going to keep it as the bitching to a minimum. It really would cut down our shows by like 35 minutes a piece if we did that.
We probably would.
I don't know if we'd have enough content.
Well, I want to wish you and yours a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah,
Yeah, and-
Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I just, that we all do it in peace and harmony together and fucking enjoy our chill time here where we get our thoughts together and move into this new year.
Yeah, and if you decide on Christmas Eve that your family sucks and you don't give a shit about Santa, then run out real quick to the comic book store. Make those poor sacks that are working on a holiday and not seeing their family, bring them some cookies or something. Let them know appreciate you being there. And get your pulls.
Get your pulls.